Alright, got all my hardware rinsed out, and I'll show you why I like Evaporust so much. I mean, you know that came off of that rust bucket, and all the nuts and bolts look like they came from the hardware store. I mean, yeah, sure, some of them probably need, you know, a little polishing up, but good enough for me. Making a total mess out of my kitchen, rebuilding the forks on the Monkey. I ordered some Delrin fork parts here. These plastic parts deteriorate after time, so somebody's remade these in Delrin, which is kind of nice. New fork boots. The giant pain in the ass with these is the fact that you actually have to disassemble these two halves of the fork to get this off. And the way that's done is a tiny little pin that's covered in a bunch of grime. So like the shit Honda used, the grease they used is disgusting. But you wipe it off, there's going to be a little hole here. Take and get that clean, and then you can just punch it right out. Luckily, there's no, given the amount of grease and shit on here, there's no corrosion issues, so it just pops right out. And then you take these halves apart and clean this off and re-grease it. And then you can get this half out and rebuild it with your new parts. Well, I didn't really set off to do all this morning. Most of this was in a box, but I just got carried away, I guess. Rebuilt the front forks, which I showed you. Put that together with the stem bearings. Got that assembled. Put a new front fender on. Got the wheel set up. Put the brake together. I did clean up all the brake parts as well this morning, as well as the shocks. They had sat in Evaporust for about a month. I forgot about them. And they look okay. I just cleaned everything up the best I could. I assembled the rear wheel, put the rear fender on, put this tail light thing on. That was the most expensive part of all this, honestly, relative to everything else. That little part cost me about $100 because they're kind of rare, I guess. People lose them or trash them. And then that's pretty much it. I got the bushings in for the swing arm. Obviously, the frame and everything's been powder coated. I painted the forks. And yeah, like I said, I didn't really set out to do all that this morning. Well, this afternoon. I started this morning. But it's starting to look like a bike again. At least it's not in a box. It's sat in a box for about a week. Or, I'm sorry, about a month. So I've run into an issue that I think I've fixed. And it's going to have to do. This tank that I ordered, obviously it's a Chinese knockoff tank. It's not the exact dimensions of the original 74 tank. I'm guessing that this is from the next generation. Because it sits too far forward. The mounting hole sits too far forward and it would hit the forks here. So what I've ended up doing is actually drilled a small hole and tapped it to put that here. I've had to cut some of that mount, and now I'm running into clearance issues with the seat pan because now we're pushing that a little far back. So what I've had to do there is I actually had to notch out the seat pan itself, the mounts, so that way I can L this in and get it to mount up. So I'm making it work, but it's been a pain, and I wish that I could find a clean 74 tank, but I mean, I bought the bike for $500. I'm not trying to put $3,000 into it for it to be a $3,000 bike. It's just, you know, it's just something to sit and look pretty and ride around the neighborhood. So that's the direction I'm going with it. I know some people are going to hate it, but it is what it is. If you want to give me a brand new 74 tank, I will take that donation. Pulled the foam off of the original seat pan. I painted this black before I started cutting on it, and I got a new seat cover going on, and I was gonna have somebody help me put this seat cover on, but I guess it's not necessary because the way it stretches on is you poke it through these like spikes. You just tuck your seat pan in here, and you take and stretch these over and you poke them through, And then you take and hammer that down over the little piece of vinyl there. And then you have a new seat. So instead of fighting with this tank, which is actually off the wrong year, it's newer, I decided to just bite the bullet and buy the right tank and shot a coat of paint on it real quick. Turns out I actually got a good deal on an OEM tank on eBay, which I'd have to fix. But this is actually a TB parts tank, which is, you know, like a knockoff like anything else on this bike. It's not super pure. I got the OEM one just to kind of keep on the shelf in case I come across another one of these bikes. And then I'll have a good tank that I know. But not too bad. The repop tank was $150, whereas that one was $50. So, you know, depending on what I come across, maybe I'll use that tank for something. But now my seat will go on without a hitch, without all the cutting and grinding and stupid crap I was doing, you know. So I'll have to paint it black or something because it kind of looks boo-boo now. But now my seat goes on perfectly. Boom. So she's coming together. I got new bars coming in. I already have the new bars, so the bad news is, I'm going to show you. The old bars were fine. I was going to reuse them, but I got this dial loose and this handlebar off, and that one snapped off inside here, and I am not going to drill and cut and do all that nonsense when this is a $40 part. And these were $60. So $100 I got a whole new set, and I got OEM grips as well. So we'll make it right. So this engine is absolutely awful. I'm spraying it with Suzuki's motorcycle wash, which is almost like a car wash meets Purple Power. It's pretty good for this kind of work. I'm just hosing it down. I took the kickstand assembly off. That's in my Sonic cleaner right now. It is terrible, grimy. Especially like, you'll see where, I guess this thing was leaking oil from here. It leaks oil from a couple places, which I'm gonna repair. But it just sat up under there with dirt and everything else. Looks like clay in here, so obviously this thing wasn't in Florida all of its life, because there ain't clay in Florida. Well, not much. So we just got my handy dandy cleaner and a brush and just work at it. Then after it's done, being as clean as I can get it, I'll take a wire wheel the whole thing. I mean, really, I should break it all the way down and rebuild it, but it has good compression and it ran, so I'm not doing all that. I just don't feel like it. If it ain't broke, don't fix it, so they say. And this engine ain't broke. It's just dirty. Alright, I got some repop handlebars and a mount. I don't like that they powder coated it, but whatever. It's probably really cheap cast aluminum and look like crap, but I'd prefer the raw metal look, but beggars can't be choosers. I wasn't about to spend the copious amounts of money that people want for something similar to the OEM, all rusty and gross. So the reason I'm replacing these is because I had to, that's why. That snapped off, and I'm not about to sit here and fight and drill this out just to get this old rusty, crusty handlebar out when I can just buy a repop set for I think I spent like $100 for this whole setup, and so I'm gonna put it on. We're getting one step closer to it looking like a complete bike. I'm still cleaning the engine now. I'm being a little more meticulous with that just because, you know, I mean, the bike looks great. So why put the crusty engine back in it? Alrighty. This back. Oh. Freaking idiot. Put it on back. Sure somebody was watching that and was like, yeah, let him do it. He'll figure it out. That was goofy. Put it on the right way. I got new OEM grips to go on it as well. I'm pretty stoked about that. They were, it's funny seeing them side by side with the ones that came off of it, because grips aren't supposed to be hard plastic. News. They're getting there. So this is a quick recap of what we got going on here, because I had somebody over at the house the other day and they were asking me what's original and what's not. So the frame's original, powder coated, the chromes are repop, the side cover and tank are repop, the seat cover is repop, but OEM seat and frame underneath it, OEM taillight, OEM suspension, OEM sprocket. It's going to have an aftermarket carb because that's what I got with the bike. OEM headlight, OEM forks, which is kind of a big deal. A lot of people buy repop forks and they're not great. OEM wheels, OEM brakes, so, and aftermarket wiring harness, OEM engine, stator, the whole nine. So that's where a lot of people will kind of shoot themselves in the foot with value, is they'll throw a Lifan, a Leafon, or whatever you want to call it, 125 in here, and even though it's a monkey, it's not cool because it's not a 50 anymore. So